Man, it's wild what's going on right now, man. We got, another situation, um,
Yeah.
another
Right.
situation in Atlanta. What I think Cory Booker had said and testified just in a hearing the other day said like it'll be another 30 days before another unarmed black man is murdered, and I think 3-4 days later this happened. So this
Hmm.
conversation around the police is a real one.
Yeah.
Gotta look. I feel like today's conversation we just had to level set and at least kind of the defund police conversation is not one that's about no police. For some, there is, and I think there's valid arguments. And I feel like we just got to have that conversation because, I mean, we
Right.
even in the midst of our conversation, we were sharing points that kind of strengthen the argument of like, wait,
Yeah.
actually,
Maybe we should.
maybe we should.
But I think what was important though was actually defining what it means to defund the police, because a lot of times, and of course, man, we're in like the social media time where the narrative just gets switched and pushed around, and you don't know what's true, what's false. If a
Right.
meme looks good, some people take that as true, and if you don't do your due diligence and actually research it, a false narrative can get put out there, bro. So I think it's super important to as a community, define what it really means to defund the police officer, and also like Ace was saying in the episode, maybe they just need to rename it, dog, because like that can be confusing. Like defund, just on surface level, you think like, oh, we're gonna take all the money away, and it's like that's not necessarily the truth, So
Yeah.
I feel that was important to do that.
And I feel like sharing my personal experience, which I've actually buried in my memory bank about my altercation with the Atlanta police, was like
Right.
a telling personal testimony or like story about how I was personally wronged by the Atlanta Police Department, and they used their, brotherhood to get out of a situation. And it kind of just points to the fact that I feel like we just need to defund, reconstruct, deconstruct, whatever that needs, whatever the word is, something about change needs to kind of move forward. So,
True. Definitely.
I think you hit it on the head though, Ace. I think that's ultimately what this is. Something's got to change. Like it can't stay the same and it can't keep getting worse. It has to. We gotta move in a different direction and find a better way to address this situation. I mean, I think it's also helpful to understand, and I think this is not something we didn't get to cover this on this episode, and I think it's worth noting right now.
mm-hmm.
I think the reason why you have people saying defund the police because inherently police in America were predicated on upholding archaic laws back in time of like slavery and all of that. So like the institution itself is actually an inherently flawed one.
Right.
And I think we're starting to see, or not even starting, but I think we see how because it hasn't been addressed and it hasn't been reformed, restructured, the behaviors that go on in any given day within these police departments and these police, their behaviors is just so counter to keeping peace and counter to counter to keeping order. And then we also know that there's like a heavier hand that's placed on communities of color, particularly Black communities. So something's got to give. To your point, something's really got to give, man. I mean, we didn't even scratch the surface. Like the whole prison, like you said, the prison industrial complex, and the idea that like, all right, so if it wasn't for the brother getting murdered, Rashard Brooks, based off of what happened in that situation, I'm clear that they would have also pushed him into the system. Like the cops would have been comfortable,
100%.
And then the kind of the judicial process. I mean, he would have been just another Black man court appointed and in that system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, man. Like we were mentioning in the episode, police officers now pull up to a situation ready for action, as opposed to pulling up to a situation trying to de-escalate. And I think that's the real problem, and that's where the disconnect of police versus, you know, just citizens, that's where the real problem lies, man. Like, if you're pulling up and your initial reaction is like, somebody got to go to jail, I got to pull my gun out. If you pull up with that type of mindset, nothing's gonna change. You know, you got to pull up on some, and you know, also making sure that we acknowledge that, yes, that's a tough job as a police officer, but man, pull up trying to de-escalate, as opposed to pulling up with the mentality of, if you try me, I gotta pull the strap, you gotta die. Like, it's jacked up, man. It's jacked up on so many levels, bro. So many levels.
Yeah, bro. It's like the idea of due process, and I'll say this one thing. It's like one last thing. It's like due process is like, nah, this is an overdue process.
Yeah.
Process for change. It's an overdue process. So see what happens, man. And I'm down to continue to just converse, get into conversation, try to be a part of the change, try to push for policy change, and like something gotta give. Something gotta give.
Someone's gotta give, man. I mean,
it's not gonna end either by force or I'm trying to say it ain't gonna end. It's not gonna be something's gonna have to give, or it's gonna be more lives lost. And I ain't talking about unarmed black men. I'm talking about it's gonna be
that stat that I gave y'all at the end, bro. 500,000 in the city of Atlanta, and there's 2,000 sworn in cops. That's crazy, bro. Like, that doesn't even compute.
But see, like, I think the point you're making, though, JD, is exactly what needs to flip. So, like, 500,000 aren't looking at that 2,000, that minority, in a way in which, like, oh, we about that action and we ready for you, because we're all going about life the way that life should be, right? It's like, I'm just out here living, trying to feed my family.
That's a real good point.
So, like, it's like that statement, right, where they say, any number of quotes, but I think it was either James Baldwin or, any number of them, where they were saying, like, rue the day when the docile black man or the black community, when they decide that, you know, enough is enough.
Enough is enough, bro.
You know, just that's not going to be a pretty day in general, when people start to get to a place where they feel like, well, what recourse do I have?
Right. Yeah, I feel that.
I mean, that's, you know, like, historically speaking, I think I might have said this on another episode. We have historical moments like that, like Bastille Day in France was all about that action, where they were just like, yo, the aristocrats and these wealthy elite out here are on another thing. There ain't nothing that we can do. Oh, okay. We stormed the Bastille. We running up in houses. Like, we go force change. And it was ugly. I mean, you know, that's that, like, for y'all who don't know about that, look it up. And that transcends race. That's just like on some idea of, like, when people feel that the systems in place are just working against them and that there's no other recourse. Survival of the fittest.
Right. Yeah, that's real.
Definitely, bro. Definitely, man.
Look, we promote peace on the Black Men Think podcast, but I will say, you know, don't keep testing us. Just don't keep testing us, man.
That's it, bro. Just don't keep testing.
Like, work with us. You know, come to the table in an honest brokering standpoint. Like, be like, it can't keep going on, because man, I just pray honestly for the situation as it relates to.
Yeah,
I just pray.
My heart.
Like my man Hassan Minaj said, Keith Ellison, you better do the right thing up there in Minneapolis, bro, because that decision and others are going to have some real time 2020 implications for the way the people is out here.
And if people want peace, and you said it, you see that chant and that sign, no justice, no peace. Peace responds to justice. So peace follow where justice goes, peace is brought with it.
Absolutely.
And where injustice goes, chaos
And turn up and anarchy.
And I just want to go on record and say that Gen Z, they ain't playing no games.
They're not. They
ain't playing no
Gen Z ain't on, but we on.
Games, boy. They ready. They about that action. For real. They about that action, bro. Like we in our 30s, we into our careers and our families. Gen Z, like, you know what? I got about 5 more years. I could do a 3 to 5 and come home.
I go take this bid. It's nothing.
I can take this bid and come home with Bill.
Right? And this is not even really funny, but it's funny. It's funny because it's like laughing of pain. It's like laughter of pain. Like it's real out here, and I think that's what people are also being faced with. Is just like, wow, these youngins out here are responding really differently than any of our generations.
Definitely.
As Brian always says, there's only been so many stories of a grandparent saying, like, yeah, they used to beat me, they lynched us, they hosed us down with dogs, we had to march, Bloody Sunday, Edmund Pettus Bridge, all these things, civil rights, MLK assassinations. Okay, boom. Then we got like Jim Crow laws. We got like, affirmative action, racism, corporate racism. Then we got like economic challenges, loans, over policing, the crack in the drug wars, the literal drug wars.
Yep.
And so like if I'm a Gen Zer and I'm seeing all these generations, such as my grandparents, my uncles and my aunts, my mom and my daddies, and my brothers and sisters in them, something about what y'all 3-4 generations went through, I'm not about to, we got to do something different.
They ain't doing it. They like, we ain't doing it.
Fun. And he's like, oh, y'all didn't do this? So how you know it's not going to work?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. Exactly. Yeah, I feel it, man.
Yeah, I mean,
no justice, no peace. I pray for peace. I know that injustice will create a chaotic outcome, which systems will be broken down either through policy or through force. And it's kind of, it just is what it is. I'm praying for peace. Bro. I'm praying for peace. I'm praying for tranquility and working at it. But I understand the other side of the coin is, it's driving around my neighborhood. I was like, oh, it's kind of, I got out in the streets and kind of seen what was going on. And I was like, okay, the energy out here is like on some, like, we coming to represent and we're not backing down. And I was like, okay. It just seemed different. It seemed different than the George Brown's era, the Ferguson. It seemed a little different.
But that's the point though, Ace. Because see, I think what we don't, and I'm glad I actually brought this up because this almost feel like it's going to take us in another direction, but we'll have to dive into this on another recording. But that's it right there. The Gen Z saw their own being gunned down.
Mm-hmm.
Like Trayvon,
Mike Brown,
Tamir
Rice.
Rice. These are youngins.
Yeah,
those were youngins. They would be who would be protesting right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they saw what inaction, generally speaking, came, right? Like,
right.
There was not as much change. There might have been like, oh, and like, whew, but they like, I'm not about to see myself out here like this much longer. We're not gonna keep going in that spin cycle. Nah.
Right.
No, I'm not gonna, and I think, yeah.
The energy is just, I sensed that. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. All right. And I'm not going to get out in front and portray myself as a frontliner to that degree. I'm not going to sit up here and say, but I am a proponent of change needs to happen immediately, and like the situation with Rayshard Brooks, you need to have immediate change. The situation in Minneapolis, Ahmaud Arbery, there needs to be immediate change, or there's going to be immediate chaos.
Yep.
It's going to be
George
chaos.
Floyd, George Floyd, Minneapolis, Ahmaud in Brunswick. Yeah.
I put it like this, bro. When your police chief resigned, and no matter how she got to that point of deciding to resign, whether she was pushed or it was on her own, she out of here. That speaks volume, bro. Like, Atlanta chief of police is not a job that you walk away from. Like, that's one of them. I tried to work my way up to get that position. You know what I'm saying? Like, to walk away, it speaks volumes, bro. So
they're aware. They're aware of what can go down if the community don't, if the policymakers don't respond, and they're like, all right, we got it. So I think they have the people's attention. Agree. And now I'm looking forward to seeing some justice. Some justice, and then some policy change. Justice and policy.
Justice got to be served in these situations. I mean, justice got to be served. I'll speak plainly on it. They got to be served. I mean, look, we can negotiate and litigate and debate all of the merits of like, oh well, you know. But the fact of the matter is like, either one of these instances should these brothers have died. So
at all,
there's no, like, we can put the debate on like the de-escalation measures and or how possibly somebody could have responded in the situation. But what we factually know is neither one of them should have died. And obviously, Ahmaud Arbery, they should not have died. So if we can't have an honest conversation from that level that these brothers shouldn't have died, then you're not coming to the table in an honest form.
Right.
And that's where I think that's why for many justice has to be served in these scenarios, because I mean, look, like I said, we can have all types of, oh well, yeah, maybe they should have, or okay, whatever, but they shouldn't have died. And so since the cops were the ones that, you know, kneeled on the neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, shot a man in the back more than 10, 12 feet away as he's running away in a non-threatening manner, you know, fake, phony cop with a terrible rap sheet and record and disciplinary and didn't do the trainings and all these various things out here, community policing, and then ends up murdering. Nah, something's got to give.
I'll say this, Chris and Ace. If you are the prosecutors, the district attorneys, and you trying to, quote unquote, keep the fraternity of policing together, you need to pull your man to the side and say, hey, y'all got to take one for the team. You got to take one for the team, because I'm telling you, if them dudes get off,
it's about to be ugly.
I don't know what's going to go down, but it's going to be ugly.
It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. I think
it's be good, bro.
I think mostly everybody knows. And I'll even say this, and I'm not even saying this, but just to say it, it's not going to be good for anybody involved. All parties involved on both sides, right? There's going to be a disproportionate response from some of this power structure and this authoritative structure. There's going to be some other folks that come out here that's about different action, because they just like, yo, the system is so flawed that we just got to go up against the system at this point. So I think that's why
I'm praying. I'm literally the man. I'm like, yo, Lord, please, like, work on them hearts. Like, it's gotta have some justice served. You're right. Them streets are gonna. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. I'm telling them folks.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I mean, we could go there, Ace. It's like legitimately. Do y'all remember the OJ trial? Do y'all remember how like tense and how like that was like?
I was in 6th grade, bro.
It was divisive, right? Like black versus white in America. Yep. Right? So, and when there's no reason for us to really go there, but everybody was watching that decision. If it were one of these types of scenarios where everyone is going to be watching, and that comes to be one of these like, oh, they get off.
Watch your neighbor. It's gonna burn. It's gonna burn neighborhood. It's gonna be chaos. It's gonna be chaos, and that chaos is gonna be responded to with more force and chaos, and then you can legit see a real social war or take place on the streets, and that's why I'm nervous. That's why I have, even for those who have children, I'm like, we want our kids to be able to grow up in a society that is like considerate of people, to where that doesn't have to take place. But if there needs to be a power change, I don't know if the power structure is going to be. People are not going to give the power away.
Yeah, no. Power is never conceded. Power is never conceded. It's taken.
It's taken. And then I'm like, if it's taken, the people that's taking it, if there's no structure around the taking, is it going to be organization, or is it going to be? That's why I'm like, oh, if justice is served, I was gonna say if Trump and on top of that, if justice ain't serving, and if Trump wins in the fall, it's gonna be crazy too. It's just gonna be chaotic. So I'm praying. I'm hitting up my people on the ground. I'm just like, all right, Keisha Lance Bottoms got some decisions. She got some decisions to make. She in the hot seat. I know she's naturally moderate. I respect Keisha. I think Keisha got to make some tough decisions. It's not tough, but she has to weigh a lot of things. And it's going to be, and the prosecutor, the Paul Howard guy, he's got to weigh a lot. I think the city of Atlanta, in my guesstimation, is going to get on the forefront of pressing charges. To what degree? I don't know. I think they're not going to try to like sweep this under the rug. I think there's too much at stake, so they're going to have to respond.
Yeah, they got
charges. Now, the issue is going to be what kind of charges, like you said, Chris. I don't know what kind of charges going to be. Yep. I think Atlanta's going to be hopefully lead the cause on on how justice is served. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully police reform too. I would love to see both of that.
We'll see.
Hey, man.
We'll see, man.
Like I said, we gonna have to. There's so much more for another day.
Yeah,
so much more for another day.
Y'all hit us up, man, across all our channels, man. It's the Black Man Think podcast. This is life for us. It's real. We want to hear from you. Hit us up, and you'll be hearing more from us as all these stories unfold. And we're gonna pick up other conversations as well. But we wanted to be timely with everything that's going on. And stay safe out here.
Definitely.
Real talk. Real talk.
The Black Men Think podcast.